What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about an interview with the narrative director at Sledgehammer Games, Scott Whitney. I will leave a link to that original interview down below if you want to go check all of it out, but I'm going to be focusing on one little piece of the interview. He confirmed something that a lot of us have suspected and a lot of us have been speculating about. There will be future war maps added in DLC this year. So for those of you guys that don't know, War is that game mode that's kind of story driven, it's really linear, and you kind of push through several different objectives throughout this map. It's a multiplayer mode, and if you're on the attacking side, you're pushing through, completing each one of these objectives as you go, and the front line just keeps being pushed forward more and more and more. And if you're on defense, of course, you're trying to defend those objectives, and if you keep losing them, then you keep getting pushed back more and more until you eventually completely lose the game. So far, we only have 2 war maps that have been confirmed. We have the one that we had access to in the beta, the one that you're seeing in the background. This is Operation Breakout. And also, they have confirmed there will be a war map on Normandy, so we'll actually be storming the beaches of Normandy as a multiplayer mode, which I'm really excited for. But they haven't really shared any details on that. They've just announced that that's going to be in the game. So we still don't have full confirmation on exactly how many war maps are going to be available right at launch. My guess is it probably is only going to be like 2 to 3, so the 2 that we've seen, maybe 1 more. And I would say probably no more than 4. I think 4 would be about the maximum that we're going to be seeing at the launch of the game. And then it looks like we may be seeing a new war map for every one of the DLC packs. Now, we don't have this confirmed. He didn't confirm in the interview that we're getting 1 war map per DLC pack. He did just confirm that there will be future war maps added throughout the year with expansions. But if that is in fact the case, where we get a war map included with each DLC pack as the year goes on, this might be the most robust DLC packs that we've ever seen in Call of Duty. Assuming they also keep everything else the same, where they've got 4 multiplayer maps, a zombie map, and now a war map for each one of these DLCs. One other thing he mentioned in the interview is with these war maps, they really want to stick to actual historical battles. They want to put you in a situation that actually occurred in history. Obviously, they're going to be stretching things a little bit to make it playable for this mode. But that brings up the question, what other battles are we going to be seeing? I assume it's all going to be in the European theater because this whole game is focused on Europe, and we're not going to be seeing anything in the Pacific or anything like that. But I'm really interested to see what other battles they come up with, and I'm very excited for the Normandy map. Well, it's great to see that we're getting so much content, especially for Season Pass holders and people that buy the DLC. It also kind of brings up the question, is this an outdated model for post-launch sales? Especially with supply drops being in the game and Activision making a ton of money on those supply drops, is it still a smart or a viable system for having post-launch content? As somebody that always gets the Season Pass and always downloads all the DLC every single year, I do find it a little bit frustrating that the player base gets split up between those that have DLC and those that don't. Most of the time when you have DLC, the game is going to try to put you in lobbies with other people that have the DLC, which allows you to play those maps that you've paid for. Because of this, it tends to alienate you from another very large pool of people that don't have DLC. Of course, it's still possible that you can play with them, but it tends to split up the player base in that way. And I've also found a big thing with this is when you end up playing on DLC maps in public matches, if people leave the game, it seems very unlikely that those spots ever get filled once people leave because you're drawing from a smaller pool of players. This becomes especially noticeable when you start to try and play some game modes that aren't played too often. If you want to play Hardpoint or something along those lines, just one of those modes that isn't played a ton, like TDM or Domination or Search and Destroy, it can get really frustrating having the DLC knowing that you're being cut off from a big portion of the player base. So from a player's perspective, I feel like this system is outdated. I feel like something needs to change here. And Call of Duty should maybe start to look at following suit with other games out there like Titanfall, which gives post-launch maps to everybody in the game. Now, having said all this, from a business standpoint, it's probably not really viable on their end. The simple fact is, the Season Pass sells, and it sells very well, and it makes a huge impact on their overall pre-launch as well as launch sales. They could sell everybody a $60 copy up front, but instead they're bundling all these things in, including the Season Pass, which is a big one, and selling it for like $90 or $100. This is a massive increase to their margins right up front, and I don't see them dropping this anytime soon. Now, I have seen suggestions for them to still have a season pass, but change the way they handle it so that everybody gets the maps for free. So for instance, season pass holders would get the maps a couple weeks before everybody else gets the maps, and they would also still get their extra daily login bonus every day, and maybe they would also get some free supply drops or some sort of little bonuses here and there throughout the year. But I'm not sure it would be quite as viable as it is today, because as it is right now, you can see just how much content you get for purchasing the season pass, and for most people that are serious about the game, it's really a no-brainer to go for that season pass every year, because you look at just how much content you're getting. You're getting all these multiplayer maps, you're getting the full zombies experience, not just the one map that the game launches with. And now you're also getting even more war maps, so if you really like the war game mode, you're definitely going to want to get the season pass. As it is right now, it seems like this is probably the most effective way for them to increase their sales and their overall profit, so I don't think change is going to be in the near future for Call of Duty. And with that, I'd like to know a couple things in the comment section below. First off, are there any battles that pop into your mind that are in the European theater that you'd really like to see turned into a war map? And second, what do you think of this overall DLC model that we have in Call of Duty right now and that we've had for the past 10 years or so with Call of Duty? Do you think it needs to change? Do you think it's really viable to change? And do you have any other viable alternatives to this season pass that we currently have? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.